you recognize your limiting belief and your challenge.
That's my. I'm still working on it.
And what challenge?
But I feel that it feels so good.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, and
I'm slowly getting there. Like,
but you didn't do it by yourself, did you?
No, I have my. We have our coaches helping.
We do, yeah.
Number one, this one, and we have others.
Well, and that's
Kevin
and Adley, and
amazing Lance and
Tracy. Yeah, I mean, there's some folks out there that we're working with that we look
to. They're awesome. Love you guys.
Good morning, guys. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Jenny. And what is your name?
What is my name? I am Greg, and we have another episode at Achieving Your Goals at Breakneck Speed of God, Finances, and Intimacy. And today, we've been talking about some different things that really that in our own life, that as we've been on this journey, having limited beliefs. And what are your limiting beliefs? What are ours? As Jenny and I talk about that, we were looking at going and.
What are your limiting beliefs?
Well, I'm going to go over some things with what I've learned from our clients, from the folks we've coached over the years, from the folks I've mentored over the years, and what I see limiting beliefs are. First, what are limiting beliefs as we talk about our personal life? Yeah. Well, how do we limit our personal life? There's a lot of stuff you see out there.
Yeah, for me, one I was struggling before is always like, I am not good enough.
You're not good enough.
Then you're making up some excuses like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have enough time for that. Those are limiting beliefs. Those are my example.
So let's talk about that. I mean, I got a lot of, even myself, and in our relationship, we'll talk about that, where you say that, I'm not good enough.
Yeah, I felt that way. The first time after we got married, a couple of weeks, it felt like I was not good enough for you because for me, you're almost perfect.
No.
I mean, he's really good guy. So I felt like I was not good enough.
So you were telling yourself that you weren't good.
Yeah, that was bad.
Well, and where did those limiting beliefs come from? I mean, they don't come from
maybe you grow up with it since you were little,
Okay. Somewhere along the way,
yeah.
Whether it's parents, whether it's brothers and sisters, whether it's friends. Even sometime in schools growing up, schools are at times to tell you that you're not good enough to do things, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, or you have to do this to be able to do that. Where along the way you think that people start to develop that they want to limit their life? I mean, that's where we got to, to look at it. And as I look at my clients,
sometimes you hear it from your friends, oh, I don't think you're good enough for that. Like, I don't think you can do that. Just like they're limiting you, they're discouraging you.
Well, and
so that's stuck in your head, and it's hard to believing in yourself after that. Like, yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. It's hard.
Well, and a lot of that comes from people are comparing themselves to somebody else, and you need to stop doing that. You just quit it. If you can't be yourself, you're not going to be anything at all. If you're comparing yourself to the, you hear the Joneses, and the Joneses are comparing themselves to the Millers, and the Millers are comparing themselves to the Johnsons. Everyone's comparing themselves to somebody else. And if you start doing that, especially with social media today, somebody can go out that lives in an apartment and drives to a dealership that has a Ferrari and stand in front of the parking lot and take a picture and post online that them standing in front of the Ferrari. So now people believe that they've got this great lifestyle. Or people that have this great lifestyle, and you start thinking, I could never make $1 million a
year. Yeah, never.
I could never do any of that stuff.
Can you move that cat?
He's jumping out. See our cat's right there. But it's, the limiting beliefs on that is when you compare yourself to other people. Here we're gonna.
The cat is distracting me, guys.
The cat's gone. Holy cow! Oh, Hans, we have Hans. The day in the life of Hans. There's technical difficulties off screen. But, where those limiting come in as a big thing is when you start comparing yourself to others and you see what lifestyles other people have and you think, what, man, they got it. I could never get that. I'm just not good enough for that. And why do we think that? Generally, it's because we were raised. I mean, when I was raised in a wealthy family.
Me either.
I mean, we were
poor.
We weren't poor, but we weren't wealthy either. We were kind of right in the middle. And, we raised our
experience food. For I did.
Did you?
Yes.
So that I grew up with that being in a small farm town. being in a small house, small property, raising our food, all that different stuff. We didn't have a lot of wealth growing up. So when we talked about being wealthy or going out and being an entrepreneur, that just wasn't in our thought. I'm thinking it doesn't happen in my family. So I limited myself, and suggested, instead of doing into sales and entrepreneurship, which I do now for, gosh, over the last 20 years or so, I went in the military because I was told that's just what I need to do. I limited my growth. That's your best way to go. You're going to need to go there. That's the best place to go. So I started listening to the world, and I did what they wanted to do, whether it was my parents or my friends. And I limited the fact that, I can't become a millionaire. I can't, own my own business. I can't make 300,000 a year.
They make you feel like you need to just be comfortable, settle for what you have.
Right. So we know what limiting beliefs are. They're things that stop you from moving to the next level.
Stop you from growing?
They are. So what do we do now? I mean, when you identify your limiting beliefs,
number one, that's what you really need to do. First of all, you have to identify what you're limiting.
Well, and you've got to be accountable. You've got to muscle up. You've got to look in the mirror and look at your situation and say, this is my fault. I mean, really everything in life that happens, you've been a part of making that happen, whether you realize it or not. People get to a point and they say, well, gosh, I'm broke, I'm in debt, my marriage stinks, my friends hate me, woe is me. And they start blaming the world for everything else. And they're limiting their beliefs that, man, I'm never going to be any good. And I'm never going to get out of the situation. I'm never going to find a happy marriage. I'm never going to be a, success. All these things they go through.
Yeah, the first step you have to do is identifying your limiting beliefs and what they are. Number two is recognize that it is just a belief.
So how do you recognize them? I mean, if you've been stuck in that circle for so long.
Well, if you see that you're not growing, you're stuck, that means that you're afraid to grow.
Yeah.
You're limiting yourself from growing. You just want to settle for what you have because you're too afraid to go out there and change your dream.
Well, when we started on this journey, 7 years ago now, as we started this journey together, I started recognizing here just over the years what my limiting beliefs were, and I remember when I selling insurance and getting large commissions, we get 60,000 come in, 50,000 come in, all these different things that come flying in, and our credit stunk. We were so, and I was limiting myself, not having a savings and putting stuff in the safe, and
we're just too afraid to go big because we're worried that we're gonna fail.
We had fear.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fear, and that fear
is the most
limited our belief. Yes. It did. And that belief, as far as we acted on our lives because we were afraid. Fear is what stopped. That's created our limited belief, as well as folks around us at times. It's told that the 5 most people you hang around with, that's who you are. That's who you become. So if you're around 5 millionaires all the time, and you're the 6th one, you're going to be the 6th millionaire. Now, adversely, if you're around 5 drug dealers and you're hanging around them all the time, you're the 6th drug dealer. So if you really want to understand some of your limiting beliefs, it's not anybody's fault, but
it's how you brought up.
You can look at your situation and how you're brought up, and if you want to stay there, then you won't grow. Then you're not going to grow. That's your fault.
Yes.
And it's also not their fault that you accepted their limiting beliefs.
So that's why the third tips are you need to challenge your own belief by questioning yourself. Is this belief really grounded, or is this belief really helping me to progress towards my goal? Well, and just question yourself. That's how you identify your limiting beliefs. Question yourself.
So when we start questioning ourselves, first we identify those things, and we recognize what they are.
And challenge your own belief. Challenge your own belief.
Well, now,
and question yourself.
Well, let me ask you a question. When we were going through our relationship, and I've seen this from a lot of the clients I've worked with over the years, and many of the business that I have, they recognize what their limiting beliefs are. Even owning an insurance company, I work with a lot of retired couples, and as we do estate planning and different stuff, you can see their limiting beliefs of how they're investing their money and what their expectations are, and to get them to recognize that. When you get people to recognize it, a light bulb comes on.
Yeah.
And then they want to change that and say, wow, I've been doing this for so long. But the interesting thing is a lot of people try and do this without a coach. Being with what I do in the financial industry, in the insurance world, I'm a coach to a lot of people. People come into my house or into my office and they say, listen, when I did, I had an office in Portage, Vicksburg, and Battle Creek. They would walk in my office and they'd say, listen, here's what we have. We're getting ready to retire. We don't know what to do. We need someone to coach us into retirement and to show us what we're going to do. And Greg, your plan is good or bad is what we're going to follow. So we're going to listen to what you tell us.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, you know what, in as much as you're coming to me for coaching, I can only give you the best idea, but you have to actually get in process. If you're going to row the boat and someone says, you're not moving because you need 2 oars. Here's 2 oars. Okay, Greg, you've told me I need 2 oars. It's not up to me to row the boat. You have to move the boat. You have to get in process. But you can't do this by yourself. So a lot of times
you need a coach. You need someone to guide you.
You do.
You need someone. Everyone needs someone to guide you.
Well, and that's when we're starting.
Everyone needs somebody. Coach.
Well, that's
coach
why
them.
We've been coaching people off and on for a lot of years. Now we're starting a full-time coaching business. And as we start to talk to clients,
we have our own coach.
And we have our own coach as well. We have a couple different coaches actually in our life.
Yeah, we're so lucky.
Coaches that are working with us on a business
They're
side.
They're all amazing.
Yeah. And then we have coaches that are working with us on a life side. So and they're recognizing, we're able to recognize, the first step in identifying what our limiting beliefs are and then recognizing what they are. And that's the first thing. Most people don't recognize them. But when you recognize them, and I would watch this, I would sit with married couples years ago. I did some, to mentorship and pastoring in a church years ago. And I'd get couples that would walk into my office and they would talk to each other about what their problems were. And the wife would blame the husband would blame the wife.
Blaming each other.
And the wife would say, well, he needs to change. And the husband would go, well, no, she needs to change. And, the problem is when you recognize what your limiting beliefs are, you're going to figure out there's a mirror behind me. Everything is in the mirror. You got to start with yourself. You
got yourself in the mirror.
You can't ask, your spouse to change. Maybe they do need to change.
You can give them advice.
But you need to make the change first in your life. And you
because
have to
you're
going to
look like a hypocrite.
Yeah, go ahead and make this change, and I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Jenny,
there's nothing wrong with me.
Jenny, stop drinking
counseling.
coffee because coffee's bad for you. Don't drink coffee. Oh wow, this.
Yeah, I'm okay drinking.
Don't this coffee's good. It was funny one time in the car when we first were dating. She was trying to get me to drink soda, and I tell this story a lot. I put a soda in the car, and she goes, "Don't drink soda; it's bad for you." And she grabbed it, and drank it right in front of me, put it down. I'm going, but you just drank it. So
I was giving you.
So you got to understand when you start working together as a couple, and that's really what our goal is, to help couples come together and entrepreneurs, and to understand how to treat your spouses, as kings and queens. And that's really what you are. The Bible tells us that your wife is your queen and she's the highest calling on the earth. And however you recognize that, whether it's Mother Earth, whether it's the universe, whether it's the Bible, however you recognize that your wife is really, she's the queen of the house. And adversely, your wife should be treating you like a king. But have you earned that right? Have you identified what your limiting beliefs are, as a couple? And in doing that, you've got to want to look in the mirror and go, okay, what's limiting our relationship?
Yes.
What's limiting our relationship?
And you have to adapt. And when you adopt that new belief, you have to tell yourself, no matter what happens, I can handle it. I can handle it.
You can.
Yes. You have to keep telling that yourself. No matter what happens, I can handle it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to improve myself. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to see myself out there. You have to keep going like this. Not like that.
So you don't want to ride a roller coaster. We don't like roller coasters. We like the rides that just go up and constantly.
Yes.
All right.
I don't like roller coaster, guys.
So now here's the other thing. When you identify your limiting beliefs, she doesn't like roller coasters at all.
Hate it.
when you identify your limiting beliefs, you got to have courage. You've got to man up. You've got to woman up, and you've got to go, listen, I know that these things that I'm doing aren't right. They're limiting my growth and my
believe in yourself.
Well, and you got to be accountable.
Yes.
Stop blaming it on the world. You've got to man up.
Tell yourself, oh, I can do this. I can do that. I can be like that person. I can be like that.
But when you recognize that there's something broke and there's something stopping your beliefs, when you look in the mirror and see
we did that lately.
Yeah, right? don't cover it up.
We worked so hard to get what we want.
But we also along the way tried to cover up some of our limiting beliefs.
Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. So that's the one thing. And Jenny's been really good at that.
It's a learning process, guys. You have to really do it. Yes.
Well, and recognizing it and then doing something about it. And that's where you guys, you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
There's
when you recognize your your limiting beliefs. Be clear on what beliefs you are investing in.
Oh, there you go. Be
You
clear.
have to be clear.
So be clear. And as we talk to relationships, your limiting beliefs, look at your relationship. When I married, Jenny, she's my queen. She is my queen in my life.
You're my king.
And when I married her, my beliefs weren't limited. I told her, you're going to get $1 million. That's why I married you. So we'll keep that part private, but I'll tell you that she's very honored. But when I first married her,
that's not in the topic.
We tell all of our. Well, I'm not limiting my beliefs.
Oh, okay. There you go. You're practicing it.
We told her that hey, I'm going to get you a house, you're going to get a car, you're going to get a lifestyle. I didn't limit our beliefs when I was dating her, did we, guys? We were courting her. We were telling her all these things, and then after we get married and you get moved in together, and then your wife takes you to that beautiful house you're going to buy. You look at it, and go, can you imagine the heating bill on that thing? Really, the yard on that thing is huge. You want me to? What about the insurance? And you start limiting your beliefs.
Saying negative stuff.
Yeah, you start limiting your beliefs.
I said, that's beautiful. Yeah, we can live in the house.
But don't limit your beliefs. And in our coaching program, that's one of the things that we want to work with couples is to help them
change their
mindset and help them not have limiting beliefs in their life for their relationships, their personally, their businesses. But when you start to recognize, write them down. I wrote all my limiting beliefs.
First thing you have to do, recognize your limiting beliefs and write them down. I did that to myself.
Well, and
I did that to myself.
There's a lot of couples over the years that I've worked with, and a lot of them had the same problem. They have this limit. Somebody in the relationship has a limiting belief that they would come into my office to do marriage counseling, and one of the married, the husband or the wife, one of them would say, well, there's nothing wrong with me. He or she needs to change. They do. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. And the other spouse is going, oh, okay, I have all these problems, but there's things that are.
He recognizes it.
He recognizes it too. But that person that he or she says, well, there's nothing wrong with me.
Denial.
There's that limited belief that they know in their soul.
You got to be honest to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, you have to be honest to yourself, and then try to fix that.
Well, and I always ask people, if you're standing in quicksand, which I have actually, I've stood in quicksand before. You don't want to shake around, but if you're standing in quicksand, do you just want to stay there and sink, or do you want to figure out how to get out of it and have someone throw you a rope and pull yourself out?
Yeah.
A lot of people get so prideful they don't have any gratitude, and they just say, "No, there's nothing wrong with me," and they don't want to admit their limiting beliefs. They don't want to see them, so their lives are so unhappy their whole life. They live a spiritually broken life. They live a financially broken life. Their relationships are broken, and they never reach the true potential. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to ask yourself, no one's really forcing you to believe what they say about you or not. Because here's the deal. It's none of your business what people think of you. It just isn't. It's none of your business what people think of you. That's why maybe you were growing up to hear that it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. But then you also heard, well, you really need to be concerned about what people think about you. It's none of your business what people think about you. And when you understand that it doesn't matter what people think about you, and you're more concerned about what people think of themselves, that's where life starts to change. Now, your limiting beliefs start to go away when you can get out of the box, when you can just take the roof off the house and you can say, listen, I'm worthy. I am grateful. And that's another one just kind of came to me. Gratitude. Having gratitude. I mean, you're really good about talking about gratitude. And I mean, having a lot of gratitude and being grateful helps you get rid of your limited beliefs, doesn't it?
It does help. Big time.
I mean, that's in us. And
count your blessings, guys. Count your blessings.
With you and I, when we first came together, we had, there were no limiting beliefs. And then we got together. Boom, there was a lot of crap that happened, and we created limiting beliefs on what we could do in our career, even in our marriage. And
you have to find a way to overcome your limiting beliefs.
In our faith, all these things may have been going on in these different places, but we chose to accept everyone else's belief as our own. So no one else creates your limiting beliefs. And that's the part that no one wants to hear. Well, my parents have told me this since I was little. Garbage. Don't care. Well, I heard that growing up in school my whole life, that this is what my limited beliefs are. It's their fault. No, it's garbage.
Yeah, you can recognize it though, because if it doesn't help you grow, that means that's not good. You need to keep growing.
Well, and going through.
Don't stay there.
Well, and that's true, because when you recognize your limiting beliefs, you keep learning. when you recognize your limiting beliefs, you understand that it's going to be painful to get out of, and pain is necessary. Guys, it's going to hurt. It's
worth it.
I'm not going to say it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a process. That pain is necessary for you to understand when you get through that, why it was so important to get out of that. But it's going to hurt. You're going to go through some pain. You look in the mirror and you go, oh my goodness, look at those limiting beliefs. I don't want to change. That's going to hurt. It's going to be embarrassing. I have to practice humility. I have to change my routine. I have to change how I dress. Whatever it is, it's going to hurt. And that pain is necessary for you to grow to the next level. And that's where some people say, I don't want those. I like my limiting beliefs because I don't have to go through pain. I'm comfortable being painful. I mean, but you're not comfortable where you are. You may say you are, but you're really not. God put within you your soul right early on, right when you were born, and it's in you.
We have it.
All of that stuff is in you already.
Yes. So we just need someone to remind us. That's why there are coaches around the world.
Well, yeah.
They're there to remind you.
Well, and as we start to work with some of our clients, as we start to work with some of our clients, and the clients I've worked with in the past, in the businesses I've been involved in, I've been coaching for many years. Whether it's been in the financial industry, whether it's been in church, whether it's been family. And as I look at the clients over the years, drug addictions, pornography, as I look at those addictions, then I challenge people, Jenny's got up here as well, is challenge your own, you have to challenge your own belief. And that's where you got to look at that. And now you want to challenge it to make a change.
Mm-hmm. Put it into practice. Take action, even the smallest steps.
But how do you change those beliefs? There's a couple I was thinking about last night that they worked with me in one of my offices. One of the spouses did, and they would come in and they would work in the office, and they were always struggling financially. The spouse at home, kind of worked and didn't work. The lady that worked for me, her health was always a problem. She was always struggling, never really happy, always looking for a different way out. And as I got to know him more, I noticed that the husband was struggling with pornography. And he was in there all the time, and
that's the root of the problem.
He looked at his, but then at the same time, she was going out looking for conversations with other men, and the husband was wondering why. And as we start talking with this couple, I asked them what their beliefs are on their marriages was, and we heard them, and there was a lot of limiting beliefs on that. And as we started challenging, and he looked in the mirror and recognized that he was addicted to pornography. And he was spending time on that, and
he thought he was not.
And the spouse knew it,
the
spouse knew it, and just said, "Go ahead," because she didn't know how to get around it. So as I started coaching him and working through it, and he didn't see that he was in it so far that he didn't see what was going on. So once he identified those,
it became normal for him.
It did. It was a lifestyle, and she was out wanting to talk to other people, generally other guys, and she was dressing provocative, trying to get attention. She didn't realize what she was doing. Well, those limiting beliefs, as we recognize those, then I challenged them. And we said, listen, are you happy where you are? Most people would say, no, we're not. We're not happy in our lives. So do you want to change it? I do. Well, don't tell me you want to do it, because here's the other thing is you start to recognize your limiting beliefs as you talk to your coaches, your friends, and that's what you're going to need to do. As we work with our couples and people, I let them know, hey, I'm not your savior. I can't fix this for you. You've got to save yourself. And that's when people got to understand when you're in the battle and you're in deep and, I'm in the mud and you're in your limited beliefs, and they've got you stuck, you've got to save yourself. And that's where people go, well, oh, hey, I need to get a coach or a mentor or my friend. Can you save me? No, you've got to save yourself. We're there to help guide you.
You got to help yourself.
On how to maybe give you some knowledge on what to do in different things. But everything you have is here. Yeah. And as we work with our clients to be able to, over the years, all the ones I've worked with, as we've identified those problems, we've had to watch them, and even our kids, we've had to watch them save themselves. Really, we have a child that went through a traumatic physical accident, and we had to watch him, even with all therapy and doctors and things, but he really had to save himself. So that's the other thing is don't look for someone to save you when you identify your beliefs or your limiting beliefs, and you want to get out of them. It's going to be painful. Understand that, and get in process and take action.
Put it into practice.
But don't look for someone to save you. Because we don't, you're not going to find anyone to save you. No one's going to pull you out of it. You're going to save yourself.
Yeah, your first step is not going to be perfect.
No,
but at least start it already. Put it into practice.
Well, and
be sure to acknowledge yourself when you're taking that step.
Well, and why stay in those limiting beliefs? You know, if you look at that, the longer you stay in it, who is it damaging? Who is it hurting? You know, who is it hurting? I mean, if you're in these bad habits, these limiting beliefs, and you're a husband, who are you damaging? Are you damaging your kids' life? Yeah. You damaging your wife, your queen? Yeah.
Especially to yourself.
Are you damaging your financial life? Yeah. What about your relationship with with God? Yeah, you are. And even your friends that you're around. You're damaging everybody around you by you being so ungrateful for the things you have. You know, and the minute that you start to get ungrateful and start to say, "Woe is me, my day stinks. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have
You
this."
become feeling sorry for yourself.
And then you start damaging. You know, and I've watched marriages. You know, it's been interesting. I had a couple I remember that I worked with where the husband he was very verbally abusive. Wasn't physically, he was just very verbally abusive, loud, angry. He had some addictions, you know, to eating actually. And it was to the point to where he would bark at the kids if they ate his food. The wife couldn't eat his food. He didn't want to go out to the baseball games. He'd rather stay home and barbecue. And he took that over, and he was damaging. He didn't want to spend time with people. He was hurting people. And his wife ended up finally divorcing him. And going through the divorce, it got down to where it was almost done. And he came back and he said, "Listen, I'd like to go ahead and I want to save this marriage. I've changed. I mean, I'm not going to eat anymore. I've stopped eating the last few months." And he expected her just to turn around and go, "Okay, here I am with open arms, come back to it."
No, it's a process. You got to work on yourself.
Well, and you know, in that instance, it was too late. She had decided after years of watching it, and broken promises, you know, along the way that
sometimes you have to move yourself away.
He did.
Person.
And
there
you know,
is a time.
He truly did end up changing.
Yeah, you gotta put boundaries.
It took pain for him to change. And I, you know, I don't condone divorce. I don't ever like to see that happen. But unfortunately, in his life, it took a huge loss before he realized that he needed to get around different people.
The human are like they waited for something big happen to their life before they change.
So what were some of our limiting beliefs? You know, if we look at, let's just talk about our relationship. What limiting beliefs did you have as you got to know me in our marriage that limited you? I think
recent or the past.
Just overall the course of our years. I mean, there's somewhere along the way, you know, you went, "Gosh, that's just not going to happen. He's never going to do that." I quit. And you limited that belief. Somewhere along the way, that happens to all of us.
I had problem trusting before. That's limiting me from really limiting me to fully expressing how I feel
right.
Because
I was acting a way that you didn't want to trust me.
I didn't have,
there was a way that I was acting.
Full trust in you at that time.
Right. And you know, so that goes on me.
I struggled with that for 2 years.
Well, and it's
until we finally decided, okay, enough is enough. Let's seek some help. Let's learn something. Let's, you know.
Well, I remember when
get some coach.
I remember when you came to me and you finally, and this is where it's important in a relationship, you finally told me you had very serious trust issues. And if I didn't change
because of what I've been through.
Well, there was things that I was doing.
I've been 2 marriages.
Yeah. Well, there was things that I was doing that she told me. She said, "This is causing me not to trust you." And I went, "Oh," and see, here's the most important thing. The relationships in a marriage, if the spouse, husband or wife, needs to be willing to share their limited beliefs with their spouse so the other one can recognize what needs to be done, because you're a team.
You gotta be honest to each other. You know, what are your weaknesses?
Yeah. Well, and you know, I truly
be open.
You know, having been an entrepreneur and speaking and coaching,
because that's how we can help each other.
Well, it is. And you know, I remember looking at Jenny when we first got together, and I always seen this rock star speaker, coach, leader of people. I seen right from the very beginning. But I had to be patient, because for a while there was a time where I gave up. I did. I went, you know what? You know, I'm just going to go on with coaching. I'll figure out how to do it by myself. I love my wife. She doesn't want to go through this.
And are you kidding me? Since I was little, I admire
she did
women speakers and motivational speakers.
Well, but I limited my belief on that.
What I said before, I said, I could never do that. I could never do that. I was too afraid to speak. Even now, I'm still learning, guys. Trying to overcome my fear of speaking to you guys in public.
Well, and two of those, in both of those situations.
If you have desire to help people, or to tell your story, that people can learn from your story. You have got to get out from your comfort zone and just do it. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm not comfortable yet, but I'm here having conversation with my husband. It's just like normal.
But you've recognized your limiting belief and your challenge.
That's my. I'm still working on it.
And what challenge?
But I feel that it feels so good.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, and
I'm slowly getting there. Like,
but you didn't do it by yourself, did you?
No, I have my. We have our coaches helping.
We do, yeah.
Number one, this one, and we have others.
Well, and that's
Kevin
and Adley, and
amazing Lance and
Tracy. Yeah, I mean, there's some folks out there that we're working with that we look to.
They're awesome. Love you guys.
But what I remember when Jenny decided on her own, and here's the thing, I was patient with Jenny. Yeah, I'd kind of given up, but I was I'd also patient to go, listen, I'm not going to force her, because there was a time where I was trying to push her to speak with me, get out there, and then I realized I needed to be patient. I took my limiting belief. It has to be in my time. Well, because guys want to solve things, so we don't want to. We just want to get it done.
He's in a hurry.
Let's just get it done.
Give it space.
So I had to get there. I gained a new. Yeah, I did, and I gained a new belief of understanding how to take care of my queen. And I stepped back and looked at.
Yeah, he was worried before that I'm not going to support him in his coaching business because I'm too shy, guys. I don't really talk. I stopped talking for couple of years because for what I've been through. Well, and someone I don't wanna tell you guys right now. Maybe in the future.
But you adopted we've adopted a new belief along the way. And it's interesting, when we adopted that new belief, we got rid of our old beliefs, we started new beliefs. Jenny and
I keep telling myself, I can handle this, I can do this. If they can do that, I can do it too.
Was it painful to change to adopt that, though?
It's a little bit.
It was.
It was so painful. It was so uncomfortable. I was scared. I was nervous. I was scared to be judged by people. But no, just go out there. Be yourself. I'm being myself right now. Okay. Well, and I don't really care what people think of me.
Well, and it took. Here's the one thing too. We had to. This is where some people think it's. Gosh, those are horrible people. This is where if again, remember that example. If you're around 5 millionaires, you're the sixth one you're going to become. You are the 5 people you hang around with the most. So if you're in those limiting beliefs, a lot of times you're going to have to give up some things along the way. And that may be,
it could be
that may be friendships. That may be close family friendships.
Unfortunately.
That may be a job. That may be a house, or whatever that is. Along the way, you're gonna have to give up some things to get into a different place. Because if you want to be a millionaire, you're not going to do that.
Surround yourself with positive people.
There you go.
Who can support with your new beliefs and goals.
Yep.
Yes, surround yourself with those people.
And be humble. And then be grateful.
Number one, be grateful.
When the universe starts, when you send out positive energy, and you understand that, as you have confident conversations, with God, with your soul, with the universe, with Mother Earth, however you recognize that. When you start to send out positive, energy to the universe, because life is energy, everything is energy, whether it's good or bad. What you send out is what you're going to get back. It is, and I know that because we've sent out bad stuff, and we send bad stuff out. I mean, there's people in my life that I know that always want to ride the struggle bus. They're struggling all the time. Yeah. You can kick them off the struggle bus, pull them off it, put them into a nice place, and they run down the road at the next struggle bus stop, and they get back on voluntarily.
Just like Bob Proctor said, it's so simple. Negative habits, negative results. Positive habits, positive results. Simple. Remember?
It is.
The chapter 8, chapter 9.
Yeah, it's just positive in, positive out, positive in, positive out. It's everything. There's no mentor of mine that used to talk about the dream, the struggle, and the victory. Mm-hmm. Everything starts with a dream.
Invest in your personal development, guys.
Well, and that's where to get over.
That's what we're doing.
Is that what we're doing? With limiting beliefs, we're learning how to do that and we did that by investing. But the most important thing you guys can do, and I don't want to get off track here, is that when you know what your limiting beliefs are, and you truly understand what they are, then accept them. Man up, stop being a wimp, stop crying.
And you can thankful.
Be thankful about it. Be thankful
because you can learn from that.
Yeah, don't be upset and embarrassed to go, oh, look at those embarrassing beliefs, what the world finds out.
Be grateful that you have that.
Well, here's
that's how you grow.
You have to be grateful.
Yeah. Be grateful.
But the one thing I see that a lot of my clients are that over the years we work with, whether it's been in coaching couples and finances, marriage, or wherever that is they said, well, Greg, if we identify our limited beliefs, we don't want the world to find out. Well, let me tell you what, they already know. You walk it every day.
Mm-hmm.
People see your limited beliefs, and generally people don't care. You have to decide what's limiting you. And if you truly want a better lifestyle, both independently, which you got to start with yourself.
I think we are 30 minutes already.
Are we? So we're going to wrap this up, but you have to start with your limiting beliefs. Start with yourself. You've got to
if you
improve
have something to
yourself
share,
first.
guys, comment below.
Are we going to do that? So we're going to wrap up. Are we wrapping up?
Go ahead.
I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish a couple things. But that's a good thing. Yes, we can share some things, but start with yourself, because I can't help anybody unless I'm help myself. On the airplane where it tells you where the oxygen hoses drop to put your mask on first before the neighbors, because if you're passed out, you can't put the neighbors on. So get yourself going first, then help your relationships. Your relationships, those limiting beliefs in your relationships are going to make or break it. They're going to break it. You're going to stop growing. You're not going to be truly happy the way God intended you. And then your finances, man, stop limiting you. When you get it straight up here and your head and your heart connect, and you understand that truly everything that you hold in your mind that you can hold in your hand, and you do, that's where everything starts. It's inside of you already. Limiting beliefs right now for us, we've watched how to get through those, and we see them daily. As soon as we see a limiting belief, we recognize. Jenny points it out to me. I point it out to her. Hey,
we help each other.
That's a limit. And
we don't just, pass it like, all right.
Well,
okay. No, we have to really correct each other.
Yeah, we do.
That's how we learn. We're not afraid to correct each other.
Well, I'm
not afraid to tell you you're wrong there. It's not a judge about trying to.
Well, sometimes we butt heads.
Oh yeah.
We don't argue, but sometimes we butt heads,
yeah.
and it's because we're pointing out to each other that, hey, that's not a good belief. Well, what are you doing? You know better. So, we're going to wrap this up and end it with this: that identifying your limiting beliefs is something that that's one of our passions for our coaching program. As clients are starting to come to us and we grow our business and we learn from our past. I learned from my clients. All the clients I've had over the last 22 years in all of our businesses, I've learned so much from. And taken that knowledge, they've taught me more than maybe I taught them. So we're passing that knowledge on why limiting beliefs.
We learn from our experiences.
They are. It's just, you shouldn't have anything that limits your belief. That word limit is a word that I don't even like. I mean, it should say, what are your beliefs? It shouldn't say, what are your limiting beliefs? So I'm gonna, that's what you want to wake from. What are my beliefs? Now, if your beliefs are limiting you, that's why we talk about what are your limiting beliefs. So make sure that you don't have any limits as to what you can do, because there's no ceiling. It isn't. Take that from your personal life and your relationships.
There's a nice quote that says, you can only exceed your limits if you discover them. And I have a verse that I would like to share.
You gonna read a verse?
I just find it right now while you were talking. I have a couple of them, but I have to pick one. It says here, Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable, perfect.
Well, awesome. I think on that, we're going to end it.
Yes.
And
we always have to end with verse.
Go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Go ahead and follow us on that. Click the buttons on there. Spread that out to people. We appreciate the growth. And any topics that you guys want us to share, go ahead and comment below on any topics you'd like to hear. Any questions that you have on some of the topics that we've talked about, let us know. And I would say, can I give them a little hint of some exciting stuff we got coming up? I can't say, I won't say names, but can I give them a little?
Yes.
Okay. I don't keep secrets very well, but we have a
celebrity.
We have a celebrity, a true celebrity that we're going to be having on our show here.
Next week.
We're going to meet with them. We're going to meet with them next week. I think it's going to be 2 weeks before we send it out there. But I tell you what, you're going to want to not miss this.
He has an amazing story.
It's a celebrity that's out there making a huge singing career, changing people's lives. Just born and raised, shot right out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And that's all I'm going to say. But he is a true celebrity. He just got back from a tour down in Nashville. He was doing down in Nashville, a tour down there. So we're going to go ahead, and I think in 2 weeks we're going to have that boat. We're going to have that out. So keep paying attention to it. Jenny's going to do some some commercials, some ads on that. Push that out to all your social media folks, because you are not going to want to miss this. I'm telling you. You would pay thousands of dollars to be able to hear from this gentleman. I am not kidding. When he speaks in front of people pay. They buy tickets to get in front of him, and he's going to help. He's going to take some time and help us be able to pass a message on to you guys. So you're not going to want to miss this. Well,
and it's good for youth.
Yep, we're gonna announce who that is probably at the end of the week. Yeah. Once we get that done.
All right, wrap it up.
With that, with the
remember, surround yourself with positive people.
Oh, there we go.
Do it.
Positive people.
Yes.
And remember, achieving your goals at breakneck speed is something we're doing, we've done, and we continue to do as we continue to share our message on God, finances, and intimacy. Hey, make it a great day.